do.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
I want to just let our audience know that snake sculpture is not the only thing that you do, because you graciously invited my husband and me to visit your home, and you do such lovely castles and architectural sort of buildings from clay.
Yes, yes.
So we'd like to have you on again sometime to show us those also. But today we thought we would concentrate on just one area because we don't have enough time to do everything. But well, first of all, where do you teach? I know you teach in the Richardson School District.
I do for the last 16 years, and I'm at Liberty Junior High, which is a school that feeds to Berkner High School.
I see. And how many students do you traditionally have?
About 125 a year.
125. And how are those students with you, like 1 hour every day? Or
45 to 50 minutes.
Each day?
Yes.
Okay.
Which makes it kind of difficult for them, because one of the hardest parts of working with clay is that you need to work with it for a considerable length of time and be able to check up on it. And they get a little frustrated.
That is hard, because when you have to leave it, you have to be so careful not to let it dry out too much.
And to keep 100 other hands off.
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
It gets kind of rough sometimes.
So I bet your students just love what you do.
They do, and they help me.
Do they?
They give me some crazy ideas once in a while, and of course it's a great way to teach them all kinds of different techniques, because of the nature of the construction will incorporate both slabs and coils and hand molding. So they can watch me and pick up from that.
Well, I was just looking on this wonderful one that we have in front of us, that this is a bakery.
That's the Snake and Bake, yes.
Snake and Bake.
Granny Snake and Bake.
I had missed that. Oh my goodness. But there's graffiti on the walls of these buildings.
Yes, well, of course, on the outsides of buildings there usually are. And again, that's a great contribution from the various students of the various years that I've been doing these.
For instance, right on the back on this one it says, Greg has a fat tail.
Yes.
School is the pits. Rock lives, but Azel eats kitty litter. Oh, okay. We won't. That is really fun, but and these snakes are buying all sorts of baked goods, which are made from clay.
Yes, everything is ceramic except for the acrylic window, but everything else is ceramic.
And there's a clock on the wall, a closed and open sign in the door. It is just the most remarkable thing. Well, with that, could you just kind of show us how you work? Because this must take hours for you to do.
Months, actually, but that's primarily because of the fact that most of the work is done in the off minutes of working at school. And so sometimes there's days goes by when I can't get to them. And then, of course, there's the drying time and the many hours it takes to glaze the pieces.
Oh, I can imagine.
So between the time I begin one and its final assembly could be anywhere from 2 to 3 months sometimes.
Well, I'm not surprised because they are very intricate.
I got into doing snakes primarily because of the fact that when I'm teaching ceramics and walking around the room for demonstration purposes or for monitoring purposes, talking to the kids about their individual work or showing them how to do various things, and I would more or less nonchalantly just have a piece of clay in my hand, and I like dragons. I collect dragons.
Oh, I noticed in your home you had dragons coming out of eggs and...
in my ears, and just about every place there are dragons.
You even had a dragon on a glass door that you had etched, didn't you? Or was that a lion? That was a lion.
That was a lion
Yeah, that's
rampant,
right,
yes.
that's right.
But that could be next. That's a good idea. But I would simply make heads, and they turned out to be more serpentine-like than they were dragon-like. And they would keep me busy and amuse the children. But one day I found myself that I wound up with a whole bunch of silly snakeheads, and they weren't much more complicated than this fella here. And twisting their mouths. And
He looks like he's laughing.
and I didn't know what to do with them. So my very, very first sculpture was entitled the Serpentine Championships. And what I did was build a bleachers, and I ended up having to make more heads, of course, but I dressed them up. There was an Arab, and there was a police officer, and there was one with a German World War I helmet on, and a nun, and all kinds of different characters. And then assembled all their tails coming out of the underneath part of the sculpture, and all tangled and woven behind. And from that, I had made some food. Of course, when you're sitting in the bleachers, you're eating hot dogs and drinking cola. So I had some extra food left over, and that led to the second sculpture, which was the Dragon Diner. And it was a complete, both the diner and the waitresses and customers and the kitchen and the cook stirring the oatmeal with his tail.
Oh, no.
And so I had all this food, and that led to the diner. The third piece I made was this bakery, because again, I had some food left over, and well, bakery sounds good, snake and bake, which I believe one of my students put that together. And from then it just grown. Eventually what I'd like to do is have a city of all different kinds of snake-like endeavors. There's going to be a Shakespeare theater.
Oh, good.
True Shakespearean experience. That'll probably be a dinner theater in the round. One of my big plans is for the best little snake house in Texas.
Oh, my goodness.
Should be interesting.
Right.
Basically, though, to make one of these things is nothing more than rolling out a coil and seeing to it that it tapers.
Maybe if I move this from here, I can see a little bit better.
And there's nothing much, nothing overly complicated to it. And of course, you want to decide what the character is going to be and what it's going to do, whether it's going to be a male or female, whether it's going to be rather plain Jane, or in the case of the one of my sculptures, it's a movie house, vaudeville house, and it stars Dolly Python.
I love that one, too.
So she's rather voluptuous,
Yes.
among other things.
And the audience is so fun in that, too, because they're all dressed in such different ways.
Yes, I tried to include all the typical kinds of characters that one would see in some kind of a theater. There's the young couple in the back row who are in an amorous position. There's the dirty old man snake in the front row with his famous trench coat. There's the big fat lady snake with the big hat sitting right in front of the little guy with no hair. And there's the troublemaker with a couple of eggs that he has thrown, and a couple more that he's getting ready to.
Oh, I saw those eggs on the floor. I wasn't sure where they came from.
He's the guy. He's the culprit.
That is so fun. One of the things I really enjoyed about that one also. Now this one, we have one showing on the screen right now. This is a takeoff on what?
Well, several game shows, but primarily I suppose it would be Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
It's called You Bet Your Asp.
Okay.
And the contestant has to solve a puzzle on the board, and then there's a game racetrack type setup, and there's a one-armed bandit over there. So there's many different means of having to win this game. But of course, there's the prize wheel where they pick the prize of their choice, the cameraman.
Okay, I see a television set for $400. And on 7 days and 6 nights in Sweetwater, Texas. Let me tell you, that's going to go fast.
I'm sure. And there's the home version of You Bet Your Asp.
Okay.
The toothy host.
Right, with his bow tie.
And of course, Miss Whitesnake is the hostess. She's standing nearby him. Okay. And there's the young lady that just won. She's quite ecstatic.
Now, excuse me, Fred.
And then the other contestant, the one, of course, that lost. He's crying.
That's too bad.
Snakes are very wear their feelings on their tails.
Okay. that is really so much fun. You are a really creative person. Now you just put the nose.
Just squeeze it with my fingers and stick it with a pencil and then cut the mouth with usually a thinner blade than this. It's a little bit neater. But again, it just depends on what you want him to do, whether you want him to be happy or talking. And sometimes I add fangs and so forth, and tongues. So they can be goofy.
Okay, that's all the time we have in this segment. But please don't go away because we're going to be showing you more of Bud Reimers' snakes.